then I went on Twitter and I'm looking around and there's all this, at the time it was kind of felt like rumors or something. And I wasn't sure. I started texting Michael and Ben. And then I heard about a shooting, and in the back of my mind, I was concerned, but I wasn't that concerned because I thought, well, there's no way. What do they can't kill Charlie Kirk? It's just like, it can't happen. That cannot happen. And then, and I'll never forget, just kind of frantically scrolling around, texting, what the hell's going on? And the video just popped up on the screen, and I saw it, and I'll never unsee it. And I just put my phone down, and I was filled with grief, shock, but rage, just overwhelming anger. And I've felt that ever since that moment. It hasn't gone away. In fact, my anger has only intensified. And there's a lot of reasons for it. It was a horrible atrocity, what was done to him. Anger for his family, most of all. Anger for a lot of people, but also anger for the country. Because you took someone from us, from all of us. That's why I think there's this outpour, this just incredible outpouring of mourning and grief, is because we all feel it, whether you knew him or not, whether you were friends or not. We all feel that you took something from us. You took someone from us that we needed, and you had no right to do that. Which is why we could talk about the grief and the mourning and all of that, and we should. But we also need to talk about justice. J.D. Vance's monologue, particularly towards the end of the show yesterday, I thought was tremendous. And before that, I also want to say that Erica's speech was, I honestly believe, one of the greatest speeches I've ever seen anyone give. I think it's one of the great speeches ever delivered when you consider the circumstances, but then also just the message. And look, Erica was under no obligation to give the country what it needs. Erica could just go out there and say how she feels, and it's our obligation to comfort her and to be there for her. And yet she did, in fact, give the country what it needs. Yeah. Because she didn't give us. She didn't withhold the anger. Like we saw that she is angry and she wants justice for her husband. Righteous, loving anger that's rooted in the love that she has for her children and her husband. And I think it was so beautiful and important for us to see that.
Well, guess what? She did it right where you're sitting. That's where the Erica Kirk speech happened. We put the podium right where you're chairing. We have a short break. Thank you for that. That was amazing.
Powerful promise to Abraham, the father of the Jewish people. I will bless those who bless you. The Christian Bible tells us that we have been grafted into God's family tree, the rich olive tree of Israel. The very foundations of the Christian faith, the Bible, and Jesus, whom Christians call the Messiah, are deeply rooted in Israel. Supporting Israel aligns Christians with God's prophetic timeline. It demonstrates our willingness.
All right, welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show, as we remember our friend and the host of this show, who's, by the way, his chair is empty. Nobody could ever fill it. And we're honored by our friends' presence, Matt Walsh, Michael Knowles, Ben Shapiro. Guys, I'm going to look over here. What do you remember about Charlie? The first thing you say on this show is, I want to make sure each of you has your own moment for this. So we'll start with you, Mike.
Well, look, it's hitting everyone. Obviously, it's hitting millions of people who never met the guy, but who felt very, very close to him because they were with him all day in their pockets and reels. And for those of us who were friends with him for many years, it hits in a personal way, in the same way that it hits when any family member or friend dies, I realized, which is that part of what you're mourning is not just the person, but you're mourning this future that you had imagined for the person and with the person. And I think that's especially true with Charlie, because this is not in any way hyperbolic. Everybody who knew Charlie knew this guy was going to be the president. I don't think I'm being hyperbolic at all. You just meet the guy, or you just see him from afar, and you say, this guy's going to be president for all the reasons that you were mentioning, Matt, earlier. Not only did he kill it in front of the camera and on the stage, but he was this unbelievable operative, organizer, extremely effective political figure behind the scenes. And he just had it. I just don't know. He just had greater skill and talent than any other political figure of our generation. And so you say, well, he's going to be president. And when it happened, I was texting my wife, and she texted me. She said, do you see what happened? I said, yeah. She said, that can't have happened. She goes, I know, I saw it, we all saw it. I actually didn't see the video, thank God. But she said, we all saw it, and so we know it happened, and yet it couldn't have happened. And I think that's the feeling that a lot of us have. And obviously, Charlie would have known more than anybody. Nobody is promised tomorrow. He understood the risks of a public life. He understood better than most people the condition that the country is in right now. But I think this is what really drives it home, because as you know, we don't need to even dignify them with much discussion, but there have been some very hideous responses to Charlie's assassination, not only from fringe lunatics, which you get all the time, but from mainstream voices, from normie voices, from the person you went to third grade with on Facebook, and from elite media outlets. And I think that really shakes a lot of people, because Charlie, being the premier political talent of our generation, being so generous, so gracious, so constantly charitable, being so totally mainstream, I think a lot of people see not only this good man, this innocent man who was murdered, but they say, man, would half the country cheer it if something happened to me too, or to my brother, or to what my coworkers do? There's this recognition that people are feeling two things. One, everyone who's never even met Charlie is feeling this personal loss, but also this political loss. We feel that something about our political order has gone down with this guy who was the best example of it. And it's why people are not going to get over it for a long time, nor should they get over it, because it really has to impel action. We cannot continue in this way. And the people who are undermining the very basic foundations of our country and of our society, they need to be punished for it in a just and prudent and lawful way, but they need to be discouraged and suppressed, because we cannot tolerate this.
Yeah, I love what you said there, and I'm just struck, and we don't have to get into this now, but there was news this morning that the charges against Luigi Maggioni had been downgraded, and he's now there's no option for life without parole. So there's a chance that this assassin,
I hadn't heard.
Yes,
this assassin
second degree,
could be released at some point, and he's a young guy, so
yes,
in theory, this man might walk the streets free again. This is so utterly outrageous and infuriating to me, and that's I fired off
The
a tweet
legal
this morning about
system
it
is
because
its fault.
I was like, do you not understand the moment that we are in? How dare you? Not, if you're the judge and you think this is the way you're going to go, at least kick the can a week or two.
Yeah.
But to spit in our face.
Yes.
So I get enraged by that. And anyway, so we're running. We've got about a minute here left. So Ben, you've been so patient. You guys,
luckily he talks the fastest out of any of us.
Exactly. Yeah. So you get a minute now, Ben, because I know you can do it.
That,
But this is why you guys all host your own shows, right? Because you've just monologued on me. No, so we will have an actual discussion here coming up, but I want to make sure we don't shortchange Ben, because candidly, when I first started working with Charlie, I mean, Ben, you were the campus guy, and it's interesting how everything evolved, but we looked up to you and what you were doing so much. And I remember actually meeting with Charlie in Ventura Boulevard in Los Angeles, and it's many moons ago, but we're fondly remembering him now, because it's how this whole community was knit together. So we'll be back, the Charlie Kirk Show, with Matt Walsh, Michael Knowles, and Ben Shapiro.
Hi, Mel.
Andrew Colbert here, executive producer of the Charlie Kirk Show, joined by our friends Matt Walsh, Michael Knowles, Ben Shapiro. Ben, the floor is finally yours. I feel bad. It's at 9:33 here.
Not at all. I mean, it's.
But yeah, please.
I think the thing for all of us about Charlie is that everyone felt Charlie's used the word innocent earlier, Michael. It wasn't just that he was innocent in the sense, obviously, that he was an innocent person. He was truly innocent at heart. Right? Charlie didn't change from the time that I knew him at 18 years old. I mean, the first time I met Charlie, and I've talked about this before, was the Breakers in Palm Beach, and he was walking around. He had just started Turning Point, and he was like very scrawny at the time, but very tall, his beanpole, and he was just a bundle of energy, which never stopped. I mean, legitimately, endless levels of energy. If you're talking about meeting Charlie, Charlie was just energetic all the time, all the time. I don't know where it came from. And he was walking around the Breakers as a kid, trying to gather donors, and he came up to me as Mr. Shapiro, great to meet you. And it was like, I wasn't used to be calling Mr. to that. I was like 28, right? And Charlie was 18. And Charlie, I met him. I said that guy's going to be the head of the RNC. Like, there's just no doubt. And as I've said before,
saw it that early.
the first meeting right off the bat, you could tell, because this is the thing about Charlie. The way that people know Charlie as this unbelievably talented debater and a terrific broadcaster and an unbelievably clear advocate for his values and for biblical values and for truth. And the reason that legitimately tens of millions of people are mourning him. And I mean, I should just say, from a Jewish perspective, every synagogue that I know of did a tribute to Charlie Kirk over the weekend, like on Shabbat. They stopped the services to do tributes to Charlie, which is an amazing testament to who Charlie was. But you could tell that early that Charlie, the thing is, Charlie got good at those things. The thing Charlie was always amazing at, the thing he had an inherent talent for, was coalition building. He was always an unbelievably great coalition builder. I mean, it's something actually that Tucker talked about yesterday on JD's show. And that's an amazing thing. I mean, this is a fractious coalition, and America's a fractious country. And to have somebody with the ability and to dedicate his time and effort to actually building those coalitions is really tough, to the point where he's able to bring together people who can disagree on an enormous number of things and still point their ships in the same direction. And Tucker Carlson and I talked on Friday. Okay, now everybody knows that Tucker and I have had our disagreements and have our disagreements about an enormous number of policy issues, and I'm sure at some point we'll publicly discuss those issues and talk about our differences and all that. But that doesn't matter, because we're going to point our ships in the direction that Charlie wanted those ships to be pointed, which is in the direction of making the country stronger and better. And that was Charlie's gift. That was the thing that Charlie was amazing at. He had innate talent for that. All the other stuff, I watched him cultivate over the course of 13 years. Right? I watched him get good at debate. I watched him become a charismatic speaker. Right? Charlie was not a naturally charismatic speaker. He became that is an unbelievable skill, to be able to actually better yourself in all of these ways and get better every day at doing them. So that by the time that this horrifying act of evil happened, he was just the best there was at it. That is just an incredible testament to not only the amount of determination and energy and grit that Charlie put into things, and that rolled off him every time you met him. He was just, again, bouncing around the room every time you met him because he had another thing to do. And the fact that a normie can change the world that way. I mean, and that's what Charlie was. He was saying normal, good, innocent things. The kinds of things that you want your children to grow up with. The kind of, I'm going to show my kids videos of Charlie. And my kids are like 11. I have 4, and they range from 11 to 2. I can show them Charlie Kirk videos.
Charlie used to always check us and say no. Like if we had some content idea, and he'd go, "There's 10-year-olds watching. There's 14-year-olds watching. Always remember."
He brought an innocence to the world, but an innocence with a level of sophistication in how to approach the world, and that is so difficult to do, because people who are innocent tend not to know how to do the other thing, the activism thing and the coalition building thing.
He's a 5-tool athlete.
Unbelievable, like truly amazing, and developed tools that weren't even in his arsenal at the beginning. This is why people talk about Charlie being talented, and they think that talent is a sort of compliment. A lot of people are born talented at a lot of different things. Charlie was born talented at a great many things. And then there are the things that he legitimately made himself the best in the world at. And that was an inspiration to people, too, because if you go back and you just watch the sort of arc of his career and his trajectory, which, as Michael says, was going to lead to the White House. I mean, like, no one believes any different. If you watch that arc, the ability to continue to improve his own trajectory by becoming that's part of the tragedy, is he was getting better at everything, and he was already the best. He was getting better at all those things, and that's an amazing, that's an unbelievable thing, and that's what was taken from us. And the other thing is that you just to kind of close out my monologue here.
No, it's great. Please, please.
That it wasn't just that I received messages from everybody. We all received messages from everybody, because if you knew Charlie, even tangentially, everybody knew how affected you were by Charlie's death. It wasn't just that I received messages from all over the world, from obviously, friends in Argentina and in Britain and in Canada, and tons from Israel, obviously, because Charlie, of course, was publicly extremely pro-Israel. Not just that. I got messages from people who are very prominent figures, who are liberal, who were deeply disturbed and upset, and who are not. I don't want to say that everybody who disagrees with us politically is a person who celebrated Charlie's death, because that's not true. This is the opportunity that Charlie provides. What Charlie was about was opening doors. So all those kids he was talking to on campus, so many of those kids became conservative, became God-fearers, went to church on Sunday because of and they weren't people who already were on Charlie's side, right? That was Charlie's day. He took a bunch of people who weren't going to go to church last Sunday, and they all went to church last Sunday. Right, the church pews, from everything I'm hearing, we're overflowing. Overflowing.
You know, like Charlie. She said, "Make heaven crowded, Charlie."
I saw the Charlie affected church, because I'm sitting there. We're kind of a buttoned up, more traditional parish.
Guys, you would go.
Shocking, I know. Not a lot of tank tops, but I look around, and there were sweatpants and T-shirts. And I was so happy to see the sweatpants and T-shirts. I knew every single one of them was there for Charlie.
And so I think that we shouldn't just use this as an opportunity to mobilize on behalf of the things that Charlie believed, to carry forward his legacy. His legacy was going to people we disagree with, and getting those people to realize that Charlie's principles were right. Right? That's the unbelievable legacy that he leaves, because, again, being murdered in the way that he was, doing the thing that Charlie was all about, doing outreach. He was doing outreach, right? Religious outreach. He was talking about Christ in the question before he was killed, right? He was doing religious outreach. He was doing political outreach, values outreach, biblically based outreach. And he convinced literally millions of young people to move to the other side of the political aisle. And so I think there's an opportunity to make people make that choice. Make that choice. Choose between the demons who are celebrating Charlie's death and the rest of us who would like to have a functional country where we can talk to one another.
Thank you for that. And thank you for donating the Daily Wire $1 million. Breaking news on this show. Thank you guys for honoring Charlie so well today. God bless you.
The poverty is